Everyone wants to be better at the game. Everyone wants to be a star, a king, a god among mortal flesh. Ah, but if such things were so easily attainable, then desirable they would no longer be. Because the cold hard truth is that out of the masses seeking maximum self-validation, only a very few have the resolve to do what is necessary for success. Most of you will wait for it, as if it's a check in the mail, and you will rage when you fail to attain it, not comprehending the reality of your failure, your inability to rise to the occasion, your apathy, your laziness. Skill comes from trial. Mastery is the succulent fruit of sacrifice, toil, and challenge. For that which doth not render me deceased may truly only serve to increase my strength. Let us here and now run your first trial. For if you cannot hold pace with this, then you have already failed. For how can you hope to hold pace with something faster and deeper? Stay and feel, or leave, proving yourself utterly incapable of attaining the glory you dream about at night. Die the death of a man who ought not to have lived. Call of Duty is a game of critical thought. It is about being able to properly analyze a situation and make accurate inferences based on the information at hand to correctly assess the most plausible objective truth and thus devise, implement, and execute the combat strategy best suited to the task at hand for maximum effectiveness. Say you happen to see a teammate enter a door and take an IED to the fucking face. Motherfucker goes down in his prime right in front of your eyes. Now at this juncture, you may infer that there is a high chance an enemy is camping like a dick in the area directly preceding the explosive defenses left at its perimeter. You have drawn this assumption based on past experiences and specifically the tendency of cameras to protect their flanks with such obstacles. Using this knowledge, you may devise a plan. Maybe you enter with caution, or perhaps you move around the perimeter to infiltrate a different entrance or pop a flash and breach. 3 strategies specifically devised in an effort to thwart what is potentially an enemy camper now alerted to enemy movement on his flanks. Either one of 2 things will happen. You will defeat the camper, or there will be no camper. But should you make this proper inference on each occasion you are made aware of an IED or other perimeter defenses across all Call of Duties, then inevitably there will be times the camper is there, in fact more often than not, and thus that is a death you never have to take, which is what makes you a better player than you would be if you were taking those deaths without having made the proper logical analysis of your combat environment. It makes you better than the players who could not think as quickly or intelligently as you did. Call of Duty is about making the right decisions at the right times based on sets of information which you have experienced before and can thus predict with enough thought, but the trick is these thoughts must be understood and concluded at the quickest rate possible. Because if you deduce the objective truth of the current combat situation and thus plot out a coherent strategy before your opponent, you should defeat him. Because this isn't chess where you have half a fucking hour every move to dissect the thoughts behind every move of your opponents and map out every potentiality in your mind. This is Call of Duty, a twitch shooter where one must predict the moves and thinking behind them often in under a second's time, because a second really is all it takes before someone dies after that first bullet flies. Call of Duty is a game of critical thought, a game where the best player is the player who asks the most questions and can most often answer those questions accurately and quickly. Imagine you are mounting a valiant assault on the B flag in a very competitive and emotionally charged match. You are midway through capping the flag when suddenly you hear footsteps to your rear. So you ask yourself, why would there be footsteps there? The obvious answer is that some motherfucker is walking behind you. And then the next question you ask is, well, is it a good guy or a bad guy? Your life and more importantly the fate of the B flag depend entirely on getting the right answer. A weak player might assume that because the footsteps are coming from the rear and your rear is facing your spawn, those footsteps are most likely that of an ally making his way to the B flag from the friendly spawn. That answer will only keep you alive sometimes. For even though this reasoning has merit, there is still a wide possibility that those footsteps may in fact be an enemy who hath made a clever flank. Now in truth it is more likely that these footsteps do in fact belong to an ally, but that doesn't mean it will be that way every time. So if you simply and strictly adhere to a single assumption that the footsteps are friendly and thus stick to the same decision in each instance of this specific scenario on the basis it is more likely than the alternative of enemy footsteps, well then you will still die every time the alternative occurs, which it inevitably will, even if it is statistically speaking in the minority of possibilities. Now, a cautious weak player in an effort to overcome this dilemma might simply turn around and wait for the footsteps to come around the bend and reveal their true identity. But this is folly also, for now you have revealed your rear entirely to the enemy's front whilst in the most dangerous of positions on the B flag, and you are, based on my own undisclosed internal calculations, probably even more likely to die than the player who assumed it was a good guy. But the strong player checks his mini-map. and asks, are there allies behind me? If there is a blue or green arrow there behind you on the minimap representing a teammate, then surely that is who it must be. But if there is no blue or green arrow, then said player must ask what else could it be, and correctly deducing that there are only two distinct possibilities. It is either friendly or hostile, and as we know it is not friendly, then it is most assuredly hostile, a wicked enemy combatant. And with this system, the stronger player does not turn needlessly when it's a friendly, nor die needlessly when it's an enemy, thus reducing the amount of deaths taken and boosting the amount of flags captured. And these are two of the things, and within one general scenario of which there are hundreds, if not thousands, that can demonstrate tangibly the difference between the weak and the strong. So to better answer the Call of Duty, one must develop stronger thought processes. One must train as the sprinter who runs with ankle weights. Conduct your same intellectual gameplay exercises, but do so under excessive strain, with mighty hindrance. This will challenge you, it will push you, and upon returning to full power, you will find your maneuvers and your tactics and your prowess come with that much more ease. The Riot Shield is the ultimate ankle weight, forcing you to think harder and faster. When wielding this shield of impregnable justice, one must consult the minimap and methodically plot out their future movements across the map. With the shield, huge swaths of the map will essentially be unavailable to you, for if you should traverse in an open area, you are no more than bantha fodder. They who wield the Riot Shield must become masters of closing the distance with the enemy, of controlling the parameters of the engagement. Engage them at a distance, and either you will die or they will run, but you will not use the mental abilities you were born with to meet them in the dark corners of those close quarters areas of every map. Most COD fights are won and lost before the duelers even lay eyes on one another. This is a game of positioning, and the Riot Shield is the hardest piece to move around the board. You must keep track of all things at once: the movement of the enemy in front of you, the direction of your exposed backside with an eye towards the map to assess what lurks to the rear, the sounds all around you. Manage these all at once, and just as silly brain teasers in Lumosity.com maximize the neuroplasticity of your mind, so too will this exercise literally grow your brain and allow you to capitalize on its functionality. But word to the wise, Lumosity.com is really expensive and it doesn't work. It's a scam. Don't buy it or anything. Every fight will require the top performance of your fully operational battle mind. To survive, you must know what your opponent's next move is before he acts. You must accurately infer the whole size of the 10-ton iceberg based only on the minuscule melting tip that breaks the surface of the water. Will he stun you and rush the flank? Will he attempt to insert explosives on your exposed backside? Will he shoot for your toes? Is he already calling upon a comrade to violently fuck you up the ass whilst you are distracted? You must ask these questions and answer them in less than a second's time, from when your foe has first tipped their hand, elsewise you will die. As soon as you see the hand of thine enemy dip into his pocket, know that the assault is underway and action is demanded. Draw your weapon, be it a knife or pistol or chocolate-coated dildo, and destroy your enemy before he destroys you. Practice this act, and the rate at which you react will increase in speed and efficiency exponentially. And as the samurai without his eyes learns to hear the soft sounds of a slippered assassin, to feel the whiff of air in his face and the change of temperature amongst him as danger draws near, to smell the stench of treachery, so too will you unlock hidden talents, develop entirely new sets of skills, discover the hidden power within, and upon the reapplication of your greatest advantages now joined with the freshly developed abilities, you will become the Ripper, the Slasher, the Terror in the night. For anyone who has lost a hand will inevitably learn to master the other hand. The lone arm of a whole person will always be outmatched by the lone arm of somebody who has grown up with only that lone arm. Your goal here is to master each arm on its own by itself. Every single limb, in fact, on its own, individually, so that when they come back together to work in unison, they are more powerful than ever before. Turn off aim assist. Learn the hard way just how much you depend on it. Learn to fight without it. And for the first time, truly practice aiming on your own. And when finally you do turn it back on, your power will be equivalent to that of a hacker, without the illegitimacy that accompanies such a fool. And aiming without aim assist on joysticks is truly more difficult than sword fighting with a blindfold. This lesson will be painful. You will die a lot. You will miss kills you shouldn't. You will lose fights that would have otherwise been guaranteed victories, but that is of course what you are here for. No pain, no gain. For pain is weakness, leaving the thumbs in mind. In tandem with the removal of aim assist, focus on semi-auto single-shot weapons, pistols, shotguns, marksman rifles. Remove the spray and pray from your arsenal. The act of having to readjust your aim with every single shot will super buff your aiming abilities. Tape a piece of paper or cardboard over your minimap on the TV. Master the art of deducing your surroundings with only small, incomplete samples of information, pieced together without the help of a broader view. And finally, you must learn to adapt. Advanced warfare will be different, in subtle ways as new CODs always are, but seemingly it may be in major ways as well. The most important skill of the 21st century is one's ability to learn new skills. Seek out what is new and give it extra attention. That's what the kill cam is for. See how your enemies use new tools against you, and then fight fire with fire. Pick up these freshly discovered techniques as quickly and often as possible so as not to be left behind, so as always to be one step ahead of the broader COD population. Become water. Water that by default seeks the point of the least resistance. Break the dam. Conquer Call of Duty. Conquer the art of thinking critically. Become a master of intelligence. Rule the world. And please remember to rate. This is Batman, signing out.